Hey YouTube, Sam here. Well, we're with the O2 Buick Rendezvous, and I don't know if you can see this, but there's corrosion right here, and surprisingly it didn't rust to me, but then I realized kind of from the white corrosion and no rust that this is like an aluminum hood, maybe. This is the hood of my rig, in case you couldn't tell that. Anyway, so I kind of got the hood propped up with a 2x4 a little bit so it's up and out. I put a rag here so we can hopefully keep some of the gook and grime and sanding stuff off of the good parts of the paint. And unfortunately this is all flaked away, and there's also another spot up in that area, you can't really see it, that is also corroding underneath. So I'm going to mess with this spot and see what I can do. Now, this is not a professional way, I repeat, not a professional way to fix this, even though I am, or was, a professional body man. But I hate this car. Well, maybe hate's a strong word, but I dislike this car. And quite honestly, I'm not going to spend a ton of money on buying the right paint for this. So this is going to be a rattle can fix, hopefully. That should at least look better than this. So we're over here, and as you can see, this is flaking off pretty bad. So I'm just going to take a razor blade and get off what I can to the point where it's not wanting to flake off anymore. I have no idea what caused this, if it's just the type of paint they put on here or what, but it's all along here and also along some other parts, but it's all back on the edge. I haven't really noticed a lot anywhere else, so I don't know what happened to cause this, other than poor quality in everything you buy these days, even though, yet again, this is getting to be an older car, but regardless, it ain't what she used to be. So I'm going to use my DA to sand this down with some 320 on it, but there's no reason you couldn't use just one of these blocks here with some 320 or something, whatever you choose. 320 is what I start sanding on this. So I'm going to first blow everything off so it's fairly clean. Really, if you were doing this, yet again, you'd want to wash the entire car down and whatever. But I'm going to blow everything off here and then take some isopropyl alcohol and clean everything down before I start sanding. Because any of the crap in here that you sand gets into the metal, and you're likely to have some problems or issues with some adhesion promotion. Anyways, so that's what I'm going to use. This is where you'd use this or wax or grease remover, either one will work. I just happen to have this out, so I'm going to go ahead and use some alcohol. Plus, this is more likely what a lot of home do-it-yourselfers would have this in their cupboards at home. Now, I also am using 91%. I always get, for my garage anyway, the highest percentage of alcohol I can get. It's cheap, so that's what I would do personally. Time I went ahead and grabbed some 240 here because that was going slower than I want. And sometimes if you use the lighter grit you use the sandpaper, actually the more wavy stuff can become. So I went ahead and stepped it up a little bit here, and we're going to keep working on it. Because I'm no longer a body shop anymore, and it's been decades since I have been, I cannot find where my paper stuff and tape stuff all ended up at. I had some gray Scotch-Brites, which is what I would use in this case right now, but all I got was red. So I'm going to take and just lightly scuff this edge right here and kind of everything around here. Anything that might get a little bit more overspray than I want on it. Yet again, I'm going to reiterate, this is not the way to do it. This is how I'm doing it, because first of all, I'm just seeing if it'll work decent enough. Also because I do not like this car and I'm not about ready to put a big giant paint job on it. So I'm just doing what I can to make it look a little better, I hope. So in the end, you'll know whether or not it actually worked. I also have cardboard here covering up the windshield so I don't get any overspray on that. And normally I would have paper up over the hood and everything, but I'm just going to be real careful and try not to get too much overspray. So I'm going to do that. By the way, I'm using my other camera in case you've noticed that too, so because it's getting pretty dusty and I don't want to kill my new camera. So that's probably why you're seeing spots. It's not just you. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and use some alcohol on this and wipe the whole thing down really good and clean it all up. Finish doing a little bit of taping here and there just to kind of try and keep some of the overspray down, and we should be at the point of priming. I was able to dig through and find some paper here, and I'm going to do what they call back masking. It's just to keep some of the overspray off of the rest of the hood. And you want to take it and you actually tape over the top of whatever it is you're working on, and fold your paper back something like that. Try not to have a rough edge if you can help it. And we're going to do that, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more scuffing with the red Scotch-Brite. Yet again, I would normally use gray here in this situation. I'm just going to do it really, really light. Any of these scratches right here, if for some reason they don't come out from paint going over it or primer going over it, you can pretty much buff them out. So yet again, this is not the ideal thing, and I'm going to keep iterating that, but I don't even know if I'm using that word right, but I'm going to keep saying it because this is a partial technique. It's a quick fix. It is a get the job done for now and move on down the road type of situation you got going here. So if you really want some decent auto body vise, hopefully I will be able to get to that at another date in time when I'm working on my Mustang, if I'm able to do that before the day I die. So regardless, now I'm going to go ahead and blow this off one more time. I'm going to wipe it off with some more alcohol again here and get it as clean as I can and not worry about it after that. Now, I've done rattle can cruddy paint jobs in the past. I'm hoping this one turns out a little better, but I don't know. But I am using, and I'm going to show it, this Rust-Oleum primer and also some black paint that I have. And the reason I'm doing this is I actually use this on another deal I had going on, another project, that's the word I'm going for. Another project I was working on, and I was very impressed by the amount of beating this took. And I still have a piece of metal kicking around that this is painted with, and it got kicked around the floor and scraped up and bent. It did a good job of holding back being beat up. So, and this is the professional line. I got it at Walmart. It was more expensive because I wanted a little better paint, but I'm going to first of all test it, and I'm going to do just as little as I possibly can of the primer. Primer tends to get more places than you want it to by quite a bit, and I'm going to kind of shoot this direction towards the window. I'm going to let this dry really good in between coats. I let it dry for like 10 or 15 minutes, 5 or 10 probably actually. So I'm getting impatient, which is always what screws everything up. I let it dry for a while and then I hit it with my heat gun. So I'm going to go ahead and top coat it. Now I don't know if you saw that. I just kind of brought this tape down just a little bit. This is going to be on the side. You won't really see it, but figure that'll maybe give it a little bit better of a cover there. Now I'm angling my paint gun towards that window, and then I'm going to just kind of come back this way a little bit at a time. I might should have came back a little farther with this, just because I can actually tell it's going to have a little primer around there, but hopefully some of the buffing I'll do later maybe will work. I can also tell that some of my feather job was not done very well. I didn't spend enough time on this, so I'll be right out honest. And I'm not blaming anything other than me for things that don't come out right, but I think it'll look better than it did. Probably going to leave more of a line here than I really want, to be honest. Right there. And who knows, this might be super noticeable and not look any better. We shall see. I'm thinking I covered everything fairly good here. Yeah. This paint was very hard. I never actually sanded anything as hard as this before, which definitely made it so you can see where I sanded it at, because my feather edge did not come out. Yet again, not blaming anything other than me not spending enough time on the job. There's definitely going to be a line across here, hopefully, and there's some definite speckles from the can as well. Well, I'm going to call that done. We'll come back when it's all dried and I got the car back down on the ground. Yet another reason why some of this didn't turn out so well. I got this car jacked up in the air so I can do some other work on it, and that's why I'm doing this right now, is I'm waiting for parts. But I can't put it down on the ground where I can reach things very well. But yet again, not blaming anybody but me. I am the one that did it the way it's been done. And it wasn't done right. Hopefully it's done to look better than it did. If you learn nothing else from me, check and make sure what kind of paint you use. I just realized, because this was drying so flat, that this is a flat black paint. So I just turned my hood partially into a 1970s muscle car. Maybe I'll have to do it to the rest of it now. We'll see. Doggone. Well, like I said before, worst case scenario, it'll keep the rust and corrosion down a little bit more, and I will just have to deal with it another day, because I don't have the materials right now to do the whole hood, or to go. I need to go get some probably gloss black, and we'll try it with that. Anyway, read your can. I'd forgotten, like I said, I did the project a long time ago and forgot that I had used a flat black. Doggone. Well, YouTube, I'm back. It's probably actually been like over a year. I'm not even sure, maybe even 2 years. I can't remember. And as you can see, I'm starting to scuff this up again. I thought halfway through, you know what, I should show what it's held up like with the flat, because I screwed up, put the flat on. You'll have already seen that in this video. But anyhow, there, you can see a definite line where I went with the flat there, and I have gone further down with the back masking now, and I'm starting to scuff it up yet again. I didn't spend any money, so all I'm using is red Scotch-Brite because that's what I have. Trying to do it fairly lightly and a little rougher up towards where I already did it, and then kind of getting lighter as it goes this way. Yet again, if I feel like it, I can always buff it out, and that'll take care of any of the scratches. Probably won't. Right now I'm just looking to not have the flat stripe across here, and I'm hoping that the gloss will be close to what this is. I'm using the exact same paint, just a gloss paint this time, so hopefully it turns out. I'll go ahead and put the camera, set it up so you can kind of see me doing a few things, but once again, I've already done pretty much everything with that paint that I'm going to do with this paint, only hopefully it'll match a little better. Alright, this is where I normally tack it off, although I'd probably normally clean it off much better than I just did, but I'm happy with it for now. Normally I would tack it off. I don't know where my tack cloths are or about anything else. I was happy to find the paper again here, so I'm going to put my mask on and I'm going to go ahead and start shooting this. I am going to go ahead actually and kind of bring this paper up a little bit and just kind of work my way back a little bit to try and keep the overspray off. Quite honestly, I should have something over the top of this. I may actually put some more over this. I don't know. Just to keep some of the overspray down. Well, YouTube, did it turn out good? Absolutely not. You can definitely see a complete line going across here. Had I started out with this kind of paint and been able to keep it right up in that edge right there where it originally was, it wouldn't have been maybe quite so noticeable, but it definitely is going to be noticeable. It's much shinier there than it is here. Now, on the other hand, I'm going to put this video up right here, because quite honestly, the only reason I did this was just to get that corrosion, keep it at bay and stop it from going any further. From here on, I can either live with it. I'm going to try and buff it out, wet sand it and buff it out, see what happens at some point. But quite honestly, it's really cold in my garage, which is probably the other problem I had. It was too cold. I was in a hurry. As usual, when you get impatient with things, they just don't turn out. Does it look horrible? I think it still looks better than it did, because it looked really bad with a big, if you remember I think in the beginning of this video, you'll see all this was bubbled up and big giant parts were peeled off of the paint, and it was just shiny metal. So yes, it looks better than it did. Does it look great? No. I'll iterate, this is not the way to do it. It is how I am trying to do it for now. And I don't want to put any money or time into this. I honestly don't. When I go to sell it, or if I ever go to sell it, I may take more time and make it look nice, or even go buy some paint and do a little bit of body work on this thing. But really, is the car worth that? Probably not. I probably couldn't get my money back out of it anyways, even doing that. So I'm going to be good with it for now. I'm going to let this dry out for another quite a while, and then wet sand it and buff it out, because it's just very grainy, for lack of a better way. You can see how shiny that is, how much grainier that is. Part of that's, you know, my technique was probably not perfect either, and I definitely came way too far down into where the tape and paper was. I didn't blend it very well, so a lot of this was my fault. Some of it's the fault of a Rattle can paint job, and some of it is, it just wasn't ever going to look perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up, because I'm probably going to be another 6 months or so before I even try and wet sand and buff this out. And then I'll maybe do another video on it, depending on how it turns out. I'll probably do another video anyways. And then actually in the end, if I had to do it all over again, it got real blurry there, I don't know why. This camera is being weird. Anyhow, if I had to do it all over again, I would have done the whole hood. Just do the whole hood. I mean, really, that's what I've learned out of this. If I didn't have that line right there, honestly, from here to here, you can tell that this is shinier than this, but it's not a super noticeable difference in actual color variance. It's actually fairly close. I think if I had done a better blending job, maybe laid it on a little bit wetter, it would have looked a little closer. But I may just go ahead and finish off the can and finish off this hood next time I do this. So probably have another video at that point in time. I'm not going to deal with it now. I'm going to end it here, and it's better than it was. Alright, this is Sam, Jack of all, and obviously Master of none. You all have a good one.